reality. My biological father nodded along supportively, adding his own embellishments about how they'd searched everywhere for me, how they'd never stopped hoping to reunite with their precious daughter. The performance was almost impressive in its audacity. Their lawyer, a slick-looking man with styled hair and an expensive watch, presented their case with practiced sympathy. He spoke about parental rights, about family bonds that transcend time and circumstance, about the deep psychological trauma my biological parents had suffered from our forced separation. He made it sound as though they'd been victims of some terrible injustice rather than people who'd made a calculated decision to reduce their household expenses by abandoning one of their children. I remembered that day in the park with crystalline clarity, though I'd spent years trying to forget it. My mother had packed my favorite stuffed rabbit in a small backpack along with a change of clothes and a peanut butter sandwich. My father had driven us to Riverside Park, the big one with the playground and the duck pond, and told me we were going to play a special game. Hide and seek, he'd called it. I was supposed to count to 100 by the big oak tree while they hid, and then I should look for them. If I couldn't find them, I should wait by the tree and they'd come back eventually. I'd counted carefully, excited about the game, my voice carrying across the empty morning park. When I'd finished counting and opened my eyes, their car was already gone from the parking lot. I'd waited by that tree until it got dark, until a park ranger found me shivering and crying, clutching my stuffed rabbit and my now empty backpack. The sandwich had been eaten hours earlier, and I'd been too scared to move from my designated waiting spot. The Delgados had fostered me initially through the state system, and when my biological parents never came forward to claim me despite widespread media coverage of the abandoned child, Carlos and Rosa had begun adoption proceedings. They'd owned 3 restaurants then, small family-style places that served authentic Mexican cuisine in different neighborhoods across the city. They'd treated me like I'd always been theirs, never making me feel like a burden or an obligation. Rosa had taught me to make tamales from scratch, while Carlos had shown me how to balance the restaurant books. They'd paid for my education, celebrated my achievements, and loved me unconditionally for 22 years until a drunk driver ran a red light and took them both from me in an instant. The grief had been devastating, made worse by the discovery that they'd named me sole heir to everything they'd built together. The restaurant chain had grown significantly over the years. What had started as 3 modest establishments had expanded into 7 high-end locations, each one carefully designed to honor traditional Mexican culture while appealing to modern sensibilities. The business was worth $4,200,000, according to the most recent appraisal, and my biological parents apparently wanted exactly half of that amount. Their lawyer was now presenting financial hardship documents, claiming my biological parents had suffered economic difficulties over the years that were directly related to the trauma of losing me. He showed the judge credit card statements and medical bills, painting a picture of struggling working-class people who deserved compensation for their pain. What he conveniently failed to mention was that every single one of those financial problems was self-inflicted and easily traceable to their own poor decisions. My lawyer finally stood to begin our defense, but I touched his arm gently, stopping him. The judge looked at me with raised eyebrows as I rose to my feet instead, the manila envelope now in my hands. My biological parents exchanged confused glances, their lawyer frowning with concern.